Well, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to another Q&A webinar. I am Lisa Apolinsky, content coach and America's digital content futurist, and I'm excited to be facilitating another amazing conversation with my guest and my booking agent, and she should be yours too, Nona Prather of Prather Marketing Services. Before we get started, I want to do a quick housekeeping. I'm going to be putting into the chat for everyone the next free Q&A webinar. We do these every month. It is going to be with Justin Vaco. I don't know if he has joined yet, but he will. He is someone that I did a meeting and podcast interview with a few weeks ago. Amazing information on leveraging short form video for your authority, power, and your marketing purposes. And that's what we're going to talk about. Short form video is 90 seconds or less. And there are so many tools. He actually introduced me to an AI tool to create short form video or video short, the YouTube shorts, YouTube content. Unbelievable. Great guy. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation that is going to be on December 14th. So make sure that you register now to grab your spot. And I am very excited to talk to Nona on this topic. There is a push, at least I hope there is within our community, of really figuring out what we want to be known for and what our authority power is going to be for 2024. I saw a post that we are like 52 days away from the new year, something crazy like that. And now is the time to start strategizing about how you are going to make 2024 your speaking year. Nona, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and to get the conversation started.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think most of you know me, but I am Nona Prather. I'm a booking agent. And I have been in the speaking industry for about 30 years. I started with my dad, who is still speaking. I literally just booked him last week. And I invited him to be here, so maybe he'll sign on it eventually. But yeah, so I helped him from the get-go. Like, he started his business. I remember him going into an attorney, signing all the paperwork. The digital signing wasn't available back then. So I was from there from day one. And he really became the expert in his industry by really becoming the safety expert, and he just ran with it and never once wavered off of that, and it really paid off for him in the end. And so I helped him with all the phone calls, managing his managing his portfolio of contacts, traveling with him, all of that. He wrote multiple books. So I helped sell him and everything. And then him and I started our own booking agency for safety speakers, and we ran that together for 8 years. So I managed that and then started my own booking agency 3 years ago. And yes, and I started it in 2020. Not the best year, but I still had hope that things were going to come back. And then we were also focusing a lot on virtual. Frank King was my first client for my own booking agency, and we did really well for him virtually because he didn't stop either. So we both had the drive. And so I just like to help my clients know that, become the expert. It will work out at the end, but you just have to be really patient and work hard at it and never give up. So I try to be really motivating and just help others figure out what is your target? What is your goals? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be the expert in? So it's a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that it worked out.
Yes, I think that's amazing. Oh, and I'm sorry, Nona, I did not mean to mute you. So hold on.
That's okay. Sarah Schulting Graham.
Yeah, there we go. So yes, and I think so and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's really 3 different groups well, actually, I'm going to say 4 different ways in which you can be showing up as a speaker. You have your traditional in-person keynote workshop event. Mm-hmm. You have your virtual event like this, a virtual webinar or workshop. you have a podcast interview, and then you also have live interviews, which a lot of people forget about. You can be interviewed by newscasters, you can be interviewed by, different types of publications and groups, radio live. So do you have like a best practice or something that maybe someone can pull through for all four if they're thinking about speaking in 2024 that can help them leverage all four of those?
Oh, yes, sure. So actually one of the chapters of my books, in one of the chapters in my book, sorry, I only have one so far, is the Speak Monthly methodology. That's really hard to say. But be out there like doing virtual talks like this podcast, local events, associations are always looking, and a lot of speakers really focus on they want the big bucks at the big conferences, but honestly you have to really pay your dues to get to those big conferences. It is definitely, you're gonna have to do it's the stair step, like you start local and then someone hears about you, and it's all about networking. So even the free events, I always say, who is in the audience? Like, who is going to be here that might further your career in some way or can help you become a referral, an affiliate, something, who can talk to you, always be updating your video at all of these. And just like you said, I mean, there are so many opportunities local. I even offer to do a free local seminar at my local library. And so we're going to be doing that soon here in Angel Fire, tiny, tiny little town, but it's going to be fun. I'll get to know my neighbors, and you never know who knows someone. And then I'm also, speaking, doing an expert panel in Las Vegas in April. And so I'm super excited about that. So, and speaking of those at these events, everyone always wants the keynote, of course, it seems like, but there's so many other things. Expert panel is really fun. Actually, that's my favorite. Because it's kind of like a conversation Q&A. There's workshops, there's breakouts. There's just so many opportunities there. Yeah, and they all tie together. Just getting your voice out there and your materials out there, because you never know who's listening in and who is going to be touched by your message and want to share even more, and then tell their friend and I think that's how my dad really broke out into it. He just didn't give up and spoke to everyone he could, got in front of every single audience that he possibly could, and then always asked for the referrals afterwards and testimonials afterwards.
Yes, yes, and that's critical, and that's something I forget to do pretty much all the time, is to ask for the referrals and testimonials, because it's not me saying that I was a good speaker, I am a good speaker. It's my attendees saying, yeah, I actually learned something from Lisa, or yeah, she actually provided some great information in a really engaging and interactive manner. And I always forget to do that. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, get the follow-up. Very
Yeah.
important. Yep.
So if you were speaking to someone who has never spoken before, and is maybe a little bit nervous about speaking, what would be a good, I don't want to say entry point, but kind of like a speaking 101 thing that would give them some practice and get them comfortable, whether it's in person or virtual?
Yeah, even practicing in front of the mirror, you can, even anything that helps get your friends and family to give you some feedback. That's all about it. But yeah, just continue to look for those opportunities. Like, just like I said, the local. Really, I'm doing the library one because not only do I want to meet local people, but I kind of want the practice, because I'm doing it in Las Vegas in front of like 200 people. And I'm pretty nervous about it. So I want to speak once a month until then. Yeah, Angie's like, you're fine. No, I don't know. I'm terrified, but super excited as well. So yeah, just practice makes perfect. And actually, whenever I do meet with a brand new speaker who says, I want to be a professional speaker, I want this to be my career of choice, I I don't ever want to smash their hopes, but I also want them to be very realistic about what to expect. Because I think some of the younger ones that come in, they'll say, "Oh, I know by next month I'm going to be, $10,000 speaking in every stage. Everyone's going to want me because I'm so good at what I do." And then they say, "I can speak to any and everyone," and I'm always like, "No." you actually can't. There's a lot of questions you have to go through. And I mean, I have me and Beth put together, my assistant, she's on the call. We put together a speaker profile that asks, and it is very specific questions. What specific industries, 3 to 5 industries that you are the perfect speaker for their audience? What exactly do you solve? You need those specific takeaways, really tangible. What steps, trip, what steps and tricks do you provide that they can implement? Like, these are all things that you have to think about. It's not just, I'm an amazing speaker and I'm motivating, listen to my story. There has to be a reason for it. And you can't just speak to any and everyone. Not everyone's going to be a perfect fit audience for you. So,
Yes.
stay within your niche.
Especially when they drink till midnight.
Oh my gosh,
That
yes.
is not
Oh,
your
yes.
audience.
That's not your
Yeah.
audience. No.
We booked one for Angie. Angie was the keynote, and it was the morning after their party,
Oh, no.
and literally people were so hungover.
One of the dudes slept through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Snoring.
And she saw the video and it was very good. Yeah, they partied too hard the night before. So maybe being the opening keynote after the party at 8 a.m. wasn't the best choice, but hey,
Serve coffee.
Yeah.
we learned from our mistakes.
Right.
Oh well.
Someone's got to be the opening keynote after the party. So
Yeah,
They should
exactly.
have all been satisfied. That's all I have to
Right.
say.
that's
They
right.
all should have been completely satisfied because they ain't got a clue what I said. Whatever.
The video turned out well. At least you got good video from it.
I did. I did get good video. That's for sure.
So, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about video. So I know when I booked you, I had video that was older, and I actually did a keynote and I got professional video footage. I called in a favor with my video production crew to actually have it be, high quality, high definition, great audio. So talk about why that's important and what you're looking for in the video so that people can make that no-brainer decision, like, oh yeah, I got to hire this person.
Yeah, I always tell everyone, so back in the 90s, 2000s, my dad had a 10-minute demo video of him speaking, and he had tried to be very tech savvy with with, pictures coming in and out and music and all of that. It's not that way anymore, because they really do get, Beth and I are getting responses from pitches that we have sent to our clients saying, we got a record number of applications. Well, think about how if they get 200 applications to be their keynoter, they don't want to watch a 10-minute video for every single person. So what we have been doing to actually, and has been very successful to catch the eye, is like 30-second to 1-minute video. And honestly, it does not have to be anything expensive. Like, you go to a videographer and they say it's going to be $5,000 for me to edit your video. Okay, no, that's insane. Literally, they just need to see what you look and sound like on stage. They want to make sure you're not going to stand behind the podium and read from a slide and bore everyone to death. Like, they just want to make sure, they want to see how engaging you are, how you sound, how you look on stage.
Right.
And then also, you can do virtual as well, so like 30 seconds of a virtual, 30 seconds of you in person, so that way you cover both sides. They just want to make sure that you know your material, you are going to entertain the audience. And it can be shot on a phone. Like, there's really good technology with our phones nowadays, and audio. You can get your own mic from Amazon that is really cheap, that can go directly to your phone whenever someone's videoing you. It's not as video is definitely required now. Like, if you don't have a video, you will get passed up, because in this day and age, with us being all virtual, you definitely have to have a video. But the good thing is it's not a big production anymore.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I'm planning on investing in for the new year, and this is great when I'm doing like smaller workshops. I mean, keynotes, when I'm on a stage, they typically are recording it, and I can either get the raw footage or ask them for, a snippet somewhere, and to get that. But when I'm doing a workshop, or, like I'm doing a roundtable, I just did a a webinar 2 hours ago for this group, and I'm going to be in person doing it. I'm going to get Pivo. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it allows you to have your phone on the device, and it tracks you.
Oh, okay.
And you can have it so that it does your full body. Oh, Angie's got it. Yeah. So it tracks you where either you have your full body or just your head. And Pivo actually has an audio portion so that it records the same time as your video. And it's panning to follow you. So it feels like there's a cameraman actually panning you. Now, my only caveat is your audio's really got to be good. So you got to invest in either the Pivo audio, which I think is rather expensive, but I think it's worth it. That's not the time to cut coupons. You got to have really good audio. There we go. Angie's showing hers.
It's only $8.
Yeah, the Pivo is like $200, and then if you add the audio part, and it's spelled Pivo. And the audio
you can use any tracking tripod. So this attaches to all my tripods.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have low tripods, I have high. Well, anyway,
yeah,
I'm an actress too, so I have to do self tapes and everything. So any of these are what they call tracking tripods, and so it's just a motion camera holder. Right, they can come cheap. They do take a USB charge.
Yep.
Just have to know that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But that's something absolutely that I plan on investing in, because I can't have a video, I'm not a Kardashian. I can't have the video group following me all around my everyday life. I have to come up with a way. And I like speaking and getting video when I'm in front of an audience, because the energy is so different than when you're practicing it. Now you can do what our friend Susan Bear did last month. And she used a friend's space and invited us, and she had a tracking camera, and she did her keynote and she practiced it, but she was practicing it in front of a live audience. So again, that has a very different type of energy than just trying to stage something and doing it with no audience, because there are reactions, and there are sounds, and people clapping and people laughing that you want to capture in your video, because it shows how you interact with your audience. So it's not just the content that you're providing, it's the conversation and the interactions you're having with the attendees on the show, or on in the conference. And yes, Angie's showing her her AirPods too. Yeah.
That's the microphone. Yeah,
the microphone and everything. Yeah.
I think it's called Hey Mike. Isn't that what it's called?
There's so many varieties, but here's the thing I learned is, like, the first one I bought was for Apple. I didn't have an Apple phone.
Yeah.
So like, if anybody needs one for Apple, I have one you can have for free.
For like $20.
So, Leslie, yes, you got your hand up.
This is for Apple. This is for Samsung.
Yeah.
Leslie has a question. Oh, you're muted.
There we go.
Happy to take it off Miss Angie's hands.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Send you a copy of my book.
Love it. Love that.
Perfect.
That's awesome. So
is she sending a copy of a book too?
You.
Me?
For the ones that you don't want, your micro. If you don't use them anymore. Yeah.
No,
She's happy
for
them off your
Apple,
hands, is what she said. Yeah.
Text me your address in the chat. Go.
Cool. Yeah. So
so absolutely video is quite important. And it's important, we as keynote speakers, we sometimes forget that you have to stay current as well. So if you can show a most recent video and be able to continue to demonstrate that ability, I think that is quite important. So a variety of ways of getting that video for sure. You can also do a sizzle reel. Our friend Patrick McGowan, he helped me with my sizzle reel on my website, where I'm speaking into my camera with my microphone, my Rode microphone. And then he added in B-roll of me speaking at other events, showing that interaction, showing me speaking and a virtual event, and, you know, a keynote, and just having that as well, where you're also just speaking to the camera and they see how, again, how do you show up for their audience? That's what they care about. They're not there for you to do a performance. They're there for you to teach their attendees something and to touch, move, and inspire them. And if you can't do that, they're not going to hire you.
Yes, which is why whenever Beth and I are working on scripts and we're working on promoting and pitching our clients to to decision makers, we always want to be really clear about what our audience takeaways are and what the audience is going to learn. And we always, we will rework them with any of our clients to make sure that they are sellable and actionable, because they want to know, what are we going to get out of bringing you in?
Yeah.
What is my audience going to learn? And that's really the first thing they look at before anything else. If your audience takeaways do not go with what they're looking for, they're going to put you on the no pile, but then if those you're okay, we have this problem, they are going to solve this, they're going to be able to implement this more and more, not just the 1 hour keynote and then they're like, oh, that was fun, okay, bye, and then go back to their lives. No, they want to be able to implement that for the next year, because they have their annual event. They need to know what they're going to do again and again and again, and how it's going to help for the future.
Absolutely.
So that's really important. That's why we always really focus on those.
Yeah. And it's also setting up expectations of how the talk is going to be, because they're not going to ask you to record the entire thing and watch it. It's the idea of making sure that you say what you're going to deliver and then you deliver it. I'm a new Airbnb host. I'm going to give a parable. And it was ingrained into my brain when I was doing my setup, is that you want to manage the expectation of the person coming. They're not going to be able to a virtual tour walking around your home. So take pictures of everything, document everything, put it in, the amenities, put it in the notes, put it in the pictures, and make sure that what you have, it's as advertised, because the last thing you want to do is piss people off when they think they've been duped. And if that happens in the speaking world, because meeting planners talk, you'll never speak again.
Oh yeah.
Just will tell people, don't ever hire this person, or I would never hire them again. And that's a death sentence for the rest of us.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, which reminds me of whenever you're negotiating yourself. I come in as a booking agent, negotiate, and I say, this is their typical speaker fee. But then if you give it away and say, well, I'll do it for you for this amount, like you just said that they talk, you don't want to get pigeonholed into a lesser, because one of my clients, they said, well, they want me to do this for $1,000, but his typical fee is, $500 to $7,500. He's like, should I do it? And I said, if you want to do it, you can do that if that's the budget that they have, if you think it's a great audience for you. However, on the contract, we always say we'll put $5,000, mark it out and say discounted rate, because we want them to know that they are getting a deal. We don't want them to talk to someone else and say, oh, I got them for $1,000. I bet you can't. No.
Right.
1,000. That was special for you. So always, be clear about everything. This is what I provide. This is what I do. Everything has to be very specific.
Yeah.
Including that. Yeah. Anyways, that just reminded me whenever you said.
Absolutely. And I saw some questions in the chats. So Nona definitely does work with trainers, because think about it. Keynote, it really is, you're just training a very large group of people on a subject. And what we're doing is education, regardless of how you slice it, whether you're doing a podcast, a live interview, a webinar, a keynote, a workshop, an expert panel. You're teaching something to your audience. So absolutely, Nona can do that, and absolutely have a sizzle reel. Patrick, I love Patrick. I'm actually, going to do a book with him next year. He did a chapter in my next book that's coming out in February. So I am biased. However, Patrick knows what he's doing, He makes sure that you two show up really well. And he's also very good at modifying video scripts so that you get to the punchline faster. It's just, awesome to work with him. So absolutely.
And he's like, it's like $500 or something for a video edit with him. He's not, he knows. Yeah, he knows how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had people ask me this, and I want to get, this is a good question. When pitching us to our prospects, you make mention of clients who have booked us repeatedly. That's a good question to you, Nona. Do you talk about prior associations that have booked? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And a lot of them, that's why we always on our speaker profile, we ask for testimonials and referrals, because whenever they say, oh, can you give me a name of someone that I can call and ask about you, then they can do that. And it's great if it's an association that aligns with them. So yeah, we use all the testimonials, referrals, all of that. Because yeah, especially whenever they get down to it. I mean, and a lot of the call for speaker forms that like Beth and I fill out, I mean, they do ask for those, but then specifically on the pitch, they'll ask for specific ones. Yeah. So us being able to provide those quickly also looks really good on your behalf as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a question that I sometimes get, because again, I refer people to Nona all the time because I'm super happy. And it also helps with my credibility as a speaker to say, please go through my booking agent.
Yeah. And that's my favorite part of the entire job.
And it also just eliminates some of the, the tire kickers and the, didgeridoos that are just like, oh, I just want to, see if I can get you for free, or or I want you to pay to be a speaker. And it's like, no, as soon as you say booking agent, those people drop off, which I like.
They're like, oh,
yeah, absolutely. What are the other benefits of hiring, whether it's you or someone else, having a booking agent as part of your team for speaking?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk my clients up and, and be fully transparent. They can ask me fully transparent questions that they probably wouldn't ask the speaker themselves because they don't want to offend. I can usually get an answer about why they didn't go with that person or why they did go with the other person, or they'll probably tell me who they booked versus the other person. And they're not always as transparent. And then I just feel like I really enjoy doing the negotiation. So I come in and say their fee is $10,000. This is what you get. And I can say it without my voice shaking. And I just think it just pays to have someone on your side. And then also the client, the speaker gets to focus on what they like to do best. So I'm doing what I do best. They do what they do best. And you don't have to worry about trying to do both of the jobs of negotiating the program agreement, the contracts, the sending all the paperwork, W-9, bio, everything that they need to promote. I mean, you don't have to worry about all those details because I'm going to, the booking agent's going to do it for you. And bureaus are okay. Like I don't have anything against bureaus. I actually work with several of them, but the difference between a bureau and a booking agency is I'm a lot more personal. Like I can say I am friends with Jim, Brenda, Pete, Angie, like we're friends. And I feel like I have a duty to do really well for them. A bureau, you're on their website, they wait for someone to call and hook you up, but they're not really looking at your specific leads. They're not contacting specifically just about you, like what me and my team do. So we actually set aside those hours to specifically work for my clients rather than the bureau just working as a whole for their company. We're more personal than that. And we give like actual personal feedback as well. And like the stats list, we send those and send all of the notes, let you know where we're, it's a lot of communication more than a bureau would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, the biggest thing is I know I'd leave money on the table.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know our own value, right? And we're just like, yay, someone has hired us, and we just, we run out and we're like, this is fantastic. But like Nona negotiated a virtual event fee for me, which I never even thought about having to do. I was like, I was like, oh, you can do that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You get so used to doing free ones back, back in COVID days.
Yeah, especially virtual. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
you're just like, I'm just happy that someone wants to talk to me. And now you're like, oh yeah, I guess I can actually, charge for my expertise and knowledge. What a concept.
oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Yeah. Susan had a really good question about, sorry. There was a question before that too. Yeah, Pamela had to drop off. Hold on. There was a question from
Leslie.
Leslie. What about the budget question? Where is that asked in the process? Very good question. Then we'll get to Susan.
Yes. So usually they say, I would, we do the phone call, then we send the email, then we follow up, and they will say, yes, we are open to discussing her coming in. And then they usually say, one of the big questions is, what is your budget? And at that point you can say, I'll let my booking agent reach out to you about that. Is usually what I have everyone say once they ask you that question. And then it kind of ties into Susan's question too. Actually, it kind of goes along the same path, because it honestly does take, I have counted 10 to 12 touches before you get into someone's event. Because we do the phone call, we actually let them know the email is coming to them, so they know to look out for it. Then we ask for a response. So, a week later, did you get that email? Did you have any questions? And then we call and call again just to see how things are going. And then we have to follow up again and say, oh, look, here's a podcast that Lisa was on. You might want to look at that, would also be a fit for your audience. And you can share this with your audience, which, gives them something tangible. And then sometimes I'll say, hey, Lisa, I have this planner at this company, and I give her the address and ask her to actually mail a book in the mail with a handwritten note that says, looking forward to possibly being a speaker at your event. Please give me a call. So there's a lot of follow-up that goes into it, but it really does take 10 to 12 touches usually before we get to that conversation of actually hiring them. And so it's a lot of work in between, and which is why continuing to do podcasts is really important, because you can use those as follow-up. Continuing to get articles published in publications, those can be used as follow-ups. And then also I tell everyone, please connect with these. So that's why we send the stats list, because we say, these are the people we talk to. Here's who you need to contact on LinkedIn as well, and add a note. Don't just hit the connection button, but say, thank you for connecting. My booking agent Nona sent you an email, so call back to that email again, so that way they can look at it again. And planners are planning back to normal time. I got a phone call the other day asking about a holiday event, but that's 2 months away. But I've also already booked a May of 2025 event. So and I booked a lot of spring and fall of 2024. So 2024 is booking now for summer and fall for sure. And I'm still waiting to hear back from some decisions about spring, but a lot of them have been made. Lisa, we're just talking about one she had in for January. They
I had two for January, two keynotes for January, and the coordinator changed.
That was one of the big things. So then it was you had to
start all over again.
Lisa's should I send the new coordinator a book? Which she did. Yeah. Anyways, but and then they have a committee. They have to, vote, and everyone on the committee brings a speaker that they want. So then you go from 200 people applying, you're on the short list of the 5 committee members, and then you have to get voted in. That's why the keynote is kind of hard to get. That's why you need to start and get those referrals, and be in front of as many people as you can. Because there's a lot of competition out there, but if you continue and your name continues to get out there 2 or 3 years from now, people are going to be like, oh yeah, I heard them speak here. Oh yeah, we should bring them in. And then the best thing is word of mouth and them hearing you in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't think if you do a workshop that's a step down. To me, it's a step in or a step through. If I'm a workshop this year, I could be an executive roundtable the next year, and then be a keynote the following year. And they've seen that I've invested in their organization and their attendee success.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be much more open to having me be part of that community, because I've shown that, I want to be a part of the community. I'm not just there to speak one time, make a buck, and then leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You actually care about their organization, want to make a difference. They remember that people buy from people they know and have relationships with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know, I think it was Susan that was asking about, how long does it take? I think part of the stalling, or part of the prep that you need to do, is what Nona was saying. You have to be really, and the reason why I'm talking about this is Nona sends people to me all the time where she's like, help them get to an actual known statement, help them to narrow it down to something that really is niche, so that I can market it. Because it's, you can't just say it's a topic for everybody, because then if it's a topic for everybody, it's a topic for no one.
Exactly. Yes. And Beth and I can usually do really well at trying to focus if they have a general idea of what audience and what message they want to get across. But if they are all over the place,
Yeah.
I just send them to Lisa and I'm like, they need focus. They have 10 different topics and they are all completely different.
Yeah.
Just can't do anything with that. Like I'm a very detailed marketing person. I have to have a goal and a certain, where am I gonna pitch you to? Who is it? What are the titles? What are, and I need to know all those answers beforehand. So yeah, Lisa, she's not only a speaking client of mine, but she also helps others whenever they're just so scattered I can't make sense of what they're trying to say.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you can't do other topics later, but when you're starting, pick one and get really good at that one. And then you can always pivot and do something that's topic adjacent, but still in that core vein of who you are and what your area of genius is. I talk on content creation and strategy, content coach, content creation, digital content futurist, content.
Yep.
Now, I just did a webinar on AI, but it was AI related to content, because that is how my audience has seen me show up. So I want to be consistent for them. And it's something that I know very well. It's something that I continue to learn. And if it's related to content and communicating to your audiences, I am all over it. And I want to make sure that my followers and my community is all over it too. So be super niche in what you're talking about and who you're talking to, because that also then helps Nona to pitch you, because then your marketing shows up that way, your video shows up that way, and it feels tailor-made to that industry. And that's what you want. You want them to feel like, this is your passion, you're all in, the language, you've invested the time, and you're ready to help that community. And that's really what you're doing when you're being asked to keynote. They're inviting you into their community to lead. And that's not a small thing to get asked to do. And it's certainly, there has to be legwork in order to get that type of invitation.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And I will say, you mentioned AI. AI is the hot topic of 2024. Everything changes. It changes every season. Before that, it was resilience. Sarah was crazy busy doing her resilience talk. But the thing is, don't just chase it, because it's going to change again. Yeah. And if you can do something like you can do AI with content, that makes sense. Like we had another client who, she speaks to the healthcare industry. She's an MD, and she's very specific in what she talks about. But then she started talking about using AI in healthcare and how that's going to, promote, how that's going to change and all that. So she changed it a little bit, but it was still very, very centered to her topic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, so she changed it a little bit. So like you can tweak the keywords to go with what the popular topic is. But if you're completely changing it, it's not going to come across. And then people look at your background and they're like, what do you mean you're an AI expert? You were talking about, I don't know,
gardening or Who
Yeah,
knows? Yeah,
like,
financial services, like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, you can tweak it, but don't completely outright change it. It's not, and I always say, like, in the speaking industry, you are going to be tweaking your videos. You are going to be tweaking your one sheets. You are going to be updating your content because you are going to be learning new things. Everybody does, and you are going to be keeping adding that, and like problems in different industries change during the times, and things like that. But it's the key topic still needs to be the same because you are trying to be the expert in that industry, and you can't do that if you're always flip flopping.
Right, right. You have to
Yeah.
show some sort of, core and, core understanding and that anchoring within your industry and your community for sure.
Exactly.
If there is like one, I mean, I know you have 24 tips in your book, but if there's one that, like, I was passing you in the hallway and you were shouting it to me and you were like, damn it, do this one thing, what would it be?
Oh, definitely get a support staff. And I'm not saying that just so I'll be like, hire us. No, it's, but you really do need it. Like, my dad had me, my brother, and my stepmom. We all worked our after school job, our summer jobs were to promote my dad as a speaker to different industries. He had a support staff. We all had a different job. We all did, with something that we were best at. I was on the phone selling him, and I was managing his CRM. My brother was also on the phone selling him. My stepmom, like, it wasn't just him doing it. Everyone needs support. I mean, I have Beth and Rose, who are my right-hand people, and they promote me as a speaker as well, and they also promote the business. I mean, and you can't do everything because, yes, the speaking business looks like it's one person, but in the background it's not. You need that. It's impossible to do all of those phone calls, all of those follow-ups, all of those mailings, all of those social media posts. It's impossible. Keeping up your website. I mean, all those things. And then, I mean, you of course need someone. Like, I just sent Beth we just updated my one sheet, and I said, hey, what do you think about my one sheet? What do you suggest? I had someone else who looked at it for me. So it's not just me doing everything and being like, okay, I created it, it's perfect, let's go out there. No, like, I need a trusted advisors as well. So everyone needs a team of trusted advisors too. It doesn't matter who it is, if it's your family or not, everyone needs a team because it is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I was gonna say, it's almost like a full-time job. Ha
Exactly.
ha ha. Because it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're, if it's something where you really want to break through, you have to, like you were saying, you have to put the time in and get better at your craft. And it is a craft. Speaking in front of an audience is a craft. Being able to be interviewed live is an absolute craft. And I was going to also say nightmare, but it's a craft. Speaking on an expert panel is a craft. It's a muscle you have to constantly practice because it's, when you're doing keynotes and everything, I mean, obviously people want to do those and you can memorize those and have your sections and everything. But I think it helps you as a speaker to be able to speak live with someone in real time and think of answers and how you want to come across in the moment. And that helps you to be a better keynote speaker because then you're able to capture real life moments as they happen. It doesn't throw you off when you're having, your speech. And, when you do a live interview and it's it's 2 minutes, minute to 2 minutes, which is the longest 1 to 2 minutes you'll ever experience. And you'll be like, oh my God, I need a drink after this because it's a lot of pressure, which you wouldn't think. It's just 1 to 2 minutes. No, you totally psych yourself out. It reminds me of the Brady Bunch, where Cindy had the stage fright and the light went on and she wouldn't answer any of the questions. I'm always worried that's going to happen to me.
Me too. My dad always told me, because I called my dad before my last speech that I did, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. He said, ask the audience a question in the beginning. So I did. And I'm like, hey, who here wants to know how to get more paid speaking engagements? Everyone raised their hand. Great. Does everyone struggle on how to do that? Everyone raised their hands. I said, great, I'm in the right audience. And everyone kind of chuckled. And then it felt more like a conversation.
Right.
And I love conversations, obviously. I mean, and I love conversations, but actually just getting up and having everyone stare at me and talk to me and listening to me talk terrifies me. But if I put it in my head that it's a conversation, I
Mhm.
am so much better and so much more at ease because I'm like, oh, I'm just talking to a friend.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I
Asking that.
love that idea of asking a question to kind of warm up the audience and also ease yourself into, what you're going to talk about. Absolutely. I love that. And,
Yeah.
one of my tricks is I memorize my magic words and phrases. I love magic words and phrases. These are the phrases that you can grab and throw out and use in a situation where either you want something that's quotable, like you're talking on a news outlet, or you're being interviewed by a journalist, and there are little snippets that the journalist will immediately pick up on, and they can quote you because they're quotable. They tie back into your brand, and if you have a brain fart, it buys you time to gather your thoughts. I know Miss Angie would like that. It buys you time to gather your thoughts, because sometimes you just get tongue tied and stuck. That happens
Oh,
to me. And if you throw out your magic word or phrase, because it's something you have memorized and you can just, off the cuff and just say something, it allows your brain to catch up and go, okay, you can answer it this way.
yeah.
And it's nice to have that, so you're not stumbling over your words or you're struggling. And it's okay to, to struggle. It's actually okay to struggle when you're doing your keynote and everything. I think of Mark LeBlanc's, his story about his first paid gig, and they hated him. And I'm like, how is that even possible?
I know, he's amazing.
I know. I'm like, he's in the Speaker Hall of Fame. What do you mean your first speaking gig was horrible? I'm like, that's what?
Yeah.
Never even thought that was a possibility. And I was like, wow. So everyone has to start somewhere. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Can you remember, Nona, the first time that you spoke in front of an audience? And this can go back to when you were a child or in a class or having to do a presentation. Do you remember that?
Oh, so well, it was in high school because I was the vice president of Key Club and I had to give a speech on why they should vote for me. And I was terrified, but then it ended up not being very many people in the audience and it was just my friends. And so I was like, it's fine. They don't care if I screw up.
Nice.
So it turned out okay. And then my second one I remember was in high school right after I graduated, and it was like an event with all the family members and things, and they asked me to give the speech. And I was terrified and I started crying in the middle of it because it was like the end of the year and all that. And and so I was a little embarrassed about that. But then my actual first one, like in front of an audience with lights and stages, was at my church. And I was asked to be the keynote speaker for our women's Christmas event. I was terrified. And my stepmom was in the front row with her camera and she was like in my face the whole time, which made me even more terrified.
That's so
Yeah. And
awesome.
so I was always like, and for some reason that one made me not like speaking. I don't know why. I just, 'cause I don't actually like being the center of attention. I'm not that type of personality. But
I cannot relate at all. At all.
I'm really not. I'm usually the shy
Oh,
one.
I'd be-
So literally, whenever Henry introduces me at Indie Books International every year when I go speak at his event, he's always like, and this is my friend Nona who told me that she would write a book with me and she would be on my faculty as long as I didn't make her speak. And here she is giving her speech. And I was like, oh God, Henry, every time.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
And it's true,
Yeah.
I did. I was like, please don't make me talk. And he was like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to just open yourself up to it. I mean, I think it's the biggest fear. I think it's the number one fear, right? Public
Oh, yeah.
speaking is the number one fear for people. They would avoid it at all costs if they could, which is kind of crazy.
People tell me all the time, I don't know how you do what you do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you just do it.
Yeah,
If you
just get up and
mess
do
up,
it.
are you gonna die? No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna open up because we have a few minutes left. I want to open up to the attendees to see if anyone wants to ask Nona a question in real time. I know we had some great questions in the chat. Thank you so much. But I want to see if there are other questions for Nona that are specific to you, something that you're considering or you're thinking about for your speaking presence for 2024. Does anybody feel brave and want to ask a question?
Hi, this is Brenda. I'm not on video. I'm actually out on the street painting the fence to my subdivision.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you joined.
Can you come to my house?
No. So my question is, I'm new to you, and I just got my first list and the 6 organizations that were interested in having you send the first email. And then I was encouraged to reach out to them. What
Yes.
would be the most attractive or appropriate subject line to those emails?
Yeah, so I would definitely remind them of our email. So I always say that, remind them, so that way in case they forgot about, they're like, wait, I know this name, where is this from? And so I say, you spoke to my booking agent, my booking agent sent you an email. I think the subject line, which Beth is always way better at subject lines than me, I always put on mine, I want to be very transparent about what I'm doing. So I used to try to get really clever subject lines to make them open it up. But now I just say introducing, like, Brenda Smith, speaker on XYZ. Like, this is what we always say. That's what I always am, like, very transparent about what it is. Because I also don't want them to be like annoyed that I'm trying to send them something clever, that they know what it is so they can go along with their day. I don't know, Beth, are you listening? She might have a really good idea.
Yeah, the email from me, because I got the body pretty good. I sent Beth over a sample of what I've been doing, and she said it was perfect. But like the subject line, I didn't know what to put. I've been putting like, thank you. I mean, I don't know. There's got to be something more interesting for them to be able to open it.
Yeah, we've been trying to keep it pretty simple because so much, everybody gets so much email that comes in. So we want to be real specific about what it is that we're pitching right there in the line, which is why we say meet speaker, Brenda Smith, and get it real specific like that. It's also easier for them to find later in their email when they're looking for, if that title is just right there, spot on. If it's something clever, that may or may not resonate, and it may or may not even get found in a search of your email if you're trying to find something that you've misplaced. So I think those are a couple of the reasons why we try to keep it really pretty straightforward. We shy away. We have a tendency to shy away from real salesy stuff. Even in the emails we make sure that those takeaways are there. That's what we're focused on, the takeaways on the emails, rather than having a lot of salesy speak, I think is the key. So just not being salesy, if that helps.
Okay, so would something like "thank you for your inquiry" be a good subject line?
Yeah, thank you for considering Brenda Smith, or thank you for, I'm trying to think of something right off the cuff, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like when it's coming from you, that's one thing, but for me
right.
to put that in my subject line, I'm just trying to connect.
Yeah, so whenever I tell everyone to follow up on LinkedIn and add the note, I always say, thank you for connecting. My booking agent Nona sent you an email. So if you're sending if you're sending an actual email rather than LinkedIn, I would just title it probably the same, intro to Brenda Smith, reply or follow up. Intro to Brenda Smith follow up is probably what I would just do. Keep it simple, so that way, as soon as, like she said, whenever they search your name, you want them to be able to find it easily.
Great. Okay, thank you.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's good.
That's awesome. So I think everyone here knows, but Nona, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I know my, let's see, I can always put my email. I think everyone here is so far is a client.
Yes, so and for anyone who's watching direct on demand, because this will be on demand on YouTube, do you want to
Oh,
just yeah.
Yeah, so Nona at prather-marketing.com, which is the same as my my website, which is prather-marketing.com. And there's also a calendar link on my website, so anyone can book a time if they want to talk one-on-one. That's on my website as well. So I keep my calendar pretty open, and yeah.
Fantastic. And Beth, it's nice to hear your voice, even though you're not on camera, but that's okay. I will.
Not today.
Not today. I know
Not
it's myself this
today.
morning. I'm like, not today, man. And then I did it anyway. Awesome. Well, are there any other final questions for Nona? Sarah, do you have any questions? I know you're listening intently.
I don't have any questions. This is Marie. I'm not on camera because
Oh,
I'm
hey,
doing something.
Hi. Good. I'm glad
Yeah. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to really praise you. And I really I know I just joined your team as a speaker not too long ago, but I love the fact that you knew that a client that reached out that she was not going to pay, but you took the time to get on a call with us to even just listen. And I just want to take the opportunity to just tell you thank you. I mean, my gratitude. Yeah. And that's really what.
Yeah, you never know what it could turn into. And so I'm just there for the details. Yeah. So if there's a program agreement or something, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that was a good call.
Awesome.
Thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Nona, for being on. This was a lot of fun as always. And just being able to be able to see you and have this conversation was fantastic. So thank you for that. And thank all of you for watching. I am Lisa Apolinski. And remember, today is always a good day to make your digital mark. And we'll see you next time.